Welcome to the online class, my dear students. Today I am going to start new chapter, that is second chapter in unit B, chapter number 7. Overall it becomes chapter 7, classes and objects. Classes and objects. We are getting 6 marks from this chapter for the annual examination. So in the last class we discussed what is C++, what is OOP, differences between procedural programming language with object oriented programming language. Afterwards just we discussed features of OOP, are also called basic concepts of OOP. So in this chapter we are going to discuss in detail about what is a class, what are objects, how to declare a class, how to declare a object, like that. In this chapter we are going to discuss in detail about classes and objects. So now today we are going to discuss these points: class and its So these are the topics we are going to discuss in this session. So class and its general syntax, access specifiers, example for data members, as well as example for member functions. So last class just we taken a definition. What is mean by a class? Class is nothing but a collection of objects with data members and member functions, right? So and also we discussed the definition of objects, right? What are objects? Class variables are known as objects. Today let us see general syntax, general declaration of a class, means syntax of declaration of class. General declaration of class means syntax for declaration of a class. See here, syntax for declaration of a class. This is very important. In the exam he is going to ask with write the declaration of a class, write the general declaration of a class, or else he is going to ask write the syntax of declaration of a class with example. So now I am going to write the syntax for declaration of a class, that is class space class name open blower bracket private colon public colon colon. Access specifiers. So this is the general syntax of declaration of a class. See here, what is there? Class space class name open flower bracket private colon public colon protected colon bracket close flower bracket close with semicolon. We have to write as it is. Okay, and these private, public, protected are called access specifiers. Okay, see here, what is class? It is a keyword, or we can say reserved word, right? So for every class declaration we have to write first a word called class. It is a keyword, means it is a predefined word. Okay, so afterwards class name is there. This class name represents name of the class. This class name represents name of the class, and this class name is going to act as data type for the class variables. That is, data type for the class variables means objects. Okay, here object declaration is not there, it comes in the next. But for what we are going to declare objects for the class, those objects are the class variables, right? So when we declare variables means those variables must have a data type, right? So here whenever we are going to declare objects in the class, in the class means when we are working with class and objects, whenever we are going to declare objects, those objects are class variables. Object means class variables are called objects. When those objects are the variables of a class means those objects must have a data type, right? So whatever the name we are going to write here, that name is going to act as what? Data type for the objects. Suppose I am going to write here class space date so on, and afterwards I am going to declare object means for those objects date means class name is act as data type. For example, in last year int a, this is what? One C++ statement. Here a is a variable. What? A is a variable. Every variable must have a data type, right? So this a is identified by a data type int. Like that, for class and object concepts, objects are nothing but class variables, right? So objects are class variables means those objects must have a data type. What is the data type for those objects? Data type for those object is class name. Whatever we are going to give, we are going to write name, class name, that class name is going to act as data type for the objects, for the object. For example, class name is date means in the next class how to declare object concepts we are going to discuss, right? For those objects, data type is class name, means that date, whatever the class name we are going to give, suppose class name is date, means that date is the data type for the objects of the class. Okay, so this class represents a keyword, this class name, this class name tells the name of the class, and that class name is going to act as data type for the declared objects. Okay, and next, this class declaration has open flower bracket and a closed flower bracket. This is open flower bracket, you all know very well. This is a closed flower bracket, and this bracket contains three things: private, public and protected. These three are called access specifiers. These three are called access specifier. What is access specifier? Why should we write it? Means according to definition of class, what I said, class is a collection of data member functions with objects, right? So this class contains data members as well as member functions. Those must be written in some access specifier. They may be comes under private, they may be comes under public, they may be comes under protected. According to our programming need, we have to declare those members, means data members or member functions, inside this private or public or protected. These private, public, protected are called access specifiers, right? Access specifiers. What is mean by access specifier? Okay, access specifier are classified into three types: private, public and protected. Actually, what is an access specifier? Access specifier is nothing but it is a one which controls the flow, which access specifier is nothing but it is a one which help in controlling the access of data and functions, right? Means in a class we are going to consider data member as well as member functions, right? Class contains data member functions as well as object. So these access specifier are going to control the flow of data members as well as member functions. Means suppose consider a class that contains a data member and member functions. Those data member and member functions are written in access specifier called private, means those data member and member functions must be used in that class only. We cannot access those members, means those data members, those functions outside the class, because they are declared, they are written in the access specifier private. So whatever we are going to declare, whatever data members or member functions we are going to declare in private, whenever we are going to declare members in private format, then that member is not going to be accessed outside the class, because that member is declared under private. What happens when we are going to declare data member or member functions of a class under private access specifier? They are accessible within the class only. Those members, means data member functions, cannot be accessed outside the class. Similarly, suppose we are going to declare members, that may be data member or member function, under protected access specifier mode. Means what happens? Suppose I am going to declare some data member functions under protected access specifier, means that thing will be accessed within the class, and that can be accessed outside the class with the help of friend function. Means it is a special function. It comes in the next after a few chapters. So just I am going to tell you, in the class declaration we are going to declare a data member as well as member functions. Suppose those data member functions are declared under protected, means that things are not be accessed outside the class. They are used or they are accessed within the class only. That thing will be accessed outside the class with the help of a special function called friend function. Friend function means we are declaring members of a class under protected access specifier, means those members must be accessed within the class only. They cannot access it outside the class. Those things can be accessed outside the class with the help of a special function called friend function. Suppose in this class I declared a data member as well as member functions under protected mode. Protected access specifier means they are used or they are accessed within the class only. One option is there, with the help of friend function we can access those members outside the class even though it is written in protected mode. Okay, this friend function is coming after 2-3 chapters, after completion of minimum 2-3 chapters. This friend function comes. There we are going to in detail about friend function. Now the important thing what we can observe here, suppose members are declared under protected access specifier. Members means it may be data member or member functions. Then that is similar to private only, means they can be accessed within the class only. But if they are declared under protected access specifier, then also we can access outside the class if and only if outside the class friend function is available, means with the help of that friend function we can access members of the class outside even though it is under protected access specifier. And the last thing, public. What happens if the access specifier is public? Means class contains data members, member functions. Those data member functions are written under public. What happens? If they are written under private, can be accessed inside the class only. If they are written under protected, means they are accessed inside the class only but accessed outside with the help of friend function only. If data member functions are written under public, what happens? If data member and member functions are written under public, they can be accessed inside the class as well as outside the class, right? So this is the advantages of declaration of data member functions under public. If data member functions of a class are in public, are declared under public, means they can access it inside the class as well as outside the class. Now let us see one general structure of private, protected and public. That is access specifier. There are 3 types of access specifier. Okay, let us see here. Just I am going to give one general example about this protected private and public access specifiers. See here, access specifier means what? Access specifiers are nothing but they are going to control the members of a class. Means access specifier are going to decide whether that member of a class is accessed within the class or within the class with the friend function or within the class as well as outside the class. That thing is going to be decided by access specifier. See here, whatever members of a class are declared, that member of a member of a class is accessed only within the class or within the class with friend function or inside the class as well as outside the class. How to access? This is going to be handled by access specifier. Now I am going to give one general example. See here, suppose members of a class are declared under public. Means consider one hospital example. Suppose one hospital is there. In that hospital, how to move a public? In the hospital we can observe receptionist counter, doctor chamber as well as CPU, right? So how a person is moving, whether freely is moving to the CPU, is there any restrictions, or freely moving to the doctor chamber? How he is moving in the hospital? Means he can move reception counter very easily without any restrictions. Okay, so he can visit reception counter without any he can move reception counter without any problem or without any objection, right? So like that, public members of a class are declared under public means that members of a class can be accessed inside the class or outside the class. There is no any restriction. Suppose if a person wants to meet a doctor, means he has to wait or he has to come in queue. It is not easy as compared to reception counter, right? He has to take appointment and he has to come in queue. Like that, members of a class are declared under private means that members must be accessed within the class. Those members cannot access it outside the class. Like that, if we want meet a doctor chamber, means it is not possible to move easily. We have to meet first in a reception counter, and afterwards we have to take a token, and afterwards we have to wait until our number comes. Some restrictions are there. Like that, if members are declared under private means it is not possible to access members outside the class. They are accessed only within the class only. Like that, suppose members are declared under protected access specifier means they cannot be accessed outside the class. They must be accessed inside the class only. If only friend function is there, means it is possible to access that members with the help of friend function only. Like that, if patient is admitted in a CPU means it is not easy as compared to reception chamber as well as a doctor. So some timings will be there. At that time only we can visit or we can contact patient who is admitted in the CPU. Like that, if members are declared under protected means it is not accessible outside the class, if outside the class we have to access it, means only it is possible with the help of a special function called friend function. Like that, this diagram tells what? Physical this diagram illustrates explains physical illustration of access specifiers, that is protected, private, public. Okay, now let us see next topic, that is example for data members, examples for member functions. Right, so what I said in the last class, what are data members? Variables declared inside the class or data declared inside the class are called data members. Functions declared inside the class are called member functions. Right, last class I said what is a data member? Variables declared inside the class, or else we can say data declared inside the class is considered as data member. Member functions means functions declared inside the class are called member functions. Now let us see some example for data member and member functions. See some examples for data member. Examples for data members. Suppose class date. Suppose date is a name of the class, means what are the data members? As I said, data members means variables or data declared in the class is considered as data members. These data members are going to describe the properties of class. What these data members tells means these data members are going to describe the properties of what these data members tells means these data members are going to describe the properties of objects of the class. For example, if date is a class, means what may be the data members? Data members means maybe day, month, year, etc. Right? If date is a class, means what may be the data member? Data members may be day, month, year, like that. Suppose second example, class, student, class, student. If class name is a student means what may be data members, means data members means they are going to explain the properties of class, means data members. If class is student means its properties means name, marks, section, etc, like that. Okay, so if student is a class means data members may be name, marks, section, means properties related to that students are considered as data member, like that. Example for member functions. Example for member functions. Okay, what member functions? Member functions are nothing but functions declared inside the class. Okay, these member functions are nothing but functions of a class. What functions we can perform on that class? For example, you take this example only, class date, class date. If class name is date means what are the possible member functions? Means input date, calculate function, display functions, like that. Input date function, open bracket, closed bracket means function, calculate function, display functions. These are the possible functions related to this class date. Okay, means we are going to write a program. If class name is date means write a C++ program to accept and display date means we have to input to day, month, year, right? For this purpose we have to take a function called input to date. Suppose any calculation is there means we are going to perform that calculation using calculate functions, like that. A display is there means we are going to write a function name as display, like that. These are nothing but functions related to date. In the same way, if the class name is, take second one, class student, class student. If the class name is a student means what are the member functions of student? Right? If the class name is student means what are the member functions of student? Means we have to write functions related to student, such as input student info, right? Display student info. So input student info, display student info, like that. Functions which are related to this student class are called member functions. So data members are also called properties. Member functions are also called what we can say? We can say data members are also called properties. Member functions are also called behaviors. Okay, so this is nothing but explanation of class and its general syntax, access specifiers, explanation of all the access specifier, that is private, public, protected, with one general example, and afterwards we discussed example for data members and examples for member functions. So just I written here two examples for data members as well as member functions. Just go through reader, and there you are going to find some more examples for data members as well as member functions. Thank you, students.